Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Sean speaking. I got a question on my feed. Love questions on my feed. This one was about why don't we have healthcare and social programs that we see in Europe. And well, this story is kind of weird, but it mostly begins during World War II. So during World War II, we were the last country really standing. We were the only ones with a navy that was worth anything. Everyone else was reeling and basically trying to rebuild their countries. So we made a deal with all of our allies that if they sided with us against the Soviet Union, we would patrol the free trade lines between countries, that we would carry that burden. And so that's what we did. And we did that for 70 years, and technically we're still doing it. There are more people helping now because for a few reasons I'm going to get into. That was the great negotiation. We patrol and they take care of, they side with us and help us create, democracy and spread, industry and open new markets and money. So, but by opening free trade, the give and take was you would stand between us and the Soviet Union, and then we would hurt ourselves economically. That was the trade-off. There's always something for something. And we viewed us kind of dealing with the deficit, that $37 trillion deficit. We viewed that as an approved negotiating point that we agreed to, as opposed to World War III, which is effectively what would happen if the Soviet Union and the US got into a brawl. And then we would all be dead. So that was the negotiation. We would cover the shipping if everyone else just isolated the Soviet Union. And it worked like a charm. A few decades later, no more Soviet Union. Now we've got Russia. And we were helping them dismantle their nuclear weapons. Things were going great. But we were doing this whole time, and this global trade community that we created by the 90s, well, the whole design around it was technically to, isolate the Soviet Union and any of its allies and leave us, the rest of the world. And it worked. Mission accomplished. So then we started dismantling our cruisers and our destroyers, and that's what we were using to patrol the lines. So for the next 5 presidents, we dismantled our Navy. We used to have 900 cruisers and destroyers. What happened was we downsized that to just about maybe 100, and their job is to protect our super aircraft carriers, which 2 of them have more firepower than the next biggest country's air force, and we have 13 of them. So aircraft carriers are not designed for patrolling the seas. That's not what they do. They're for parking just out of range of a country and blowing it into nothing. That's its job. And they are huge, and they are incredibly powerful, and nobody messes with those carriers. They are the pinnacle of technology for doing what they do. Which brings me to farming, weirdly. So since we're not patrolling the lanes anymore, and we are still, but not like we were, and we've got some help from the Australians because we sold them some cruisers, and we've sold some people some cruisers that they can throw out into their neighborhoods and kind of help. But we're still carrying the bulk of that. So what you need to grow industrial crops to feed a large population is nitrogen and potash. When you have low yield land, bad land that would be really subsistence farming at best, to make it industrial to where it grows 10, 20 times the amount of crops, you need potash and nitrogen. Potash comes from 2 places we'll talk about, and nitrogen comes from oil. Okay. Oil is transported on those very same free trade routes that we were just talking about. So if those break down, and when they break down, it's not if, no one's patrolling them, it's just a matter of time. Insurance companies aren't going to insure craft that have to go past Yemen. You know, nobody's going to pay for that insurance. They'll go around the long way, or they'll go to North America or South America, you know, before they'll head all the way around Africa and go down that road. So there's the nitrogen. Also potash, same thing. They got to be transported on boats. We're no longer patrolling those sea lanes. Yeah. So let's talk about where potash comes from. I'll blow this up for you. So it comes from two places. Canada, our friends, and part of NAFTA. We're going to be just fine. The United States will be just fine. And then there's Russia. So, yeah. So that's not really a thing. That potash will be off the market, and their oil will be off the market in a year. And they're the ones who are mostly providing potash and fertilizer for China. China produces some potash, but 2%. It's not really anything. But all of their land is low grade agriculture. So you can see there's ratings for the different quality of land. So you've got Ukraine, which is like 106. And you've got North America's, which is 139, right? Iowa, basically. Incredible. We have like the best agriculture land on the planet Earth. And we have a source of potash. And we don't import petroleum anymore. We produce enough on our own to take care of all of our own problems. So now we've got the nitrogen. So we have the potash and nitrogen. There is no other country that has both of those on lock. China doesn't. The Ukraine doesn't. India, a lot of their farming subsistence, but they do a lot of industrial farming. They're going to be in a bit of trouble, but they of course also have no problem working with Russia. So it'll be interesting. They'll be getting their nitrogen from the Middle East and their potash from Russia, and they're probably the only ones that are going to be able to pull that off. So you know, that's the reality of farming on this planet. The United States is set up 100%. We have oceans on either side. Mexico's our friend. Canada is our best buddy, and we're going to be fine. The rest of the world, not so much. This is where the hunger is right now. So the good news for Mexico is that we're going to have food, so they're going to have food. China doesn't give us much data, neither does Russia. But without petroleum and potash, China's cooked. They import 90-something% of their petroleum products, and they don't sell any potash. They create 2% of the world's potash, and they use it immediately. Rice is a huge user of nitrogen. Put it this way, if the oil tankers stop going to China, China is in a major famine position in 6 months. In a year, they're deindustrializing, and their population gets cut in half. In fact, most countries that don't have the potash, the nitrogen, and the high-grade farmland all in one spot or have access to that are looking at a sizable population decrease. So our $37 trillion deficit was to underwrite the global economic system, and so that we could defeat the Soviets. And yeah, so that's done now. So like I said, we've been pulling out for a long while now, and it's not look like this is kind of the direction we're headed. So, yeah, I just thought to answer that question. That's why we have the largest military. It was a deal we made 70 years ago, and it's a deal we're still dealing with the world. So, just as geopolitics tells us that the free trade era is closing, demography tells us that the era of consumption-driven growth that has been the economic norm for 70 years is coming to an unceremonious end. This is Peter Zane. Um, there's his name. If you haven't checked him out on YouTube, he's worth a listen. I don't agree to 100% of what he has to say, but he's kind of a math guy like me. He looks at demographics and economics and population densities and all this. Actually, a lot of the same stuff that I look at when I'm doing campaign work. That's actually drove me. He was like looking at demography and economics, and I look at demography and politics. So it was I was able to understand and then catch up to where he's at. Worth of some of his stuff is real doomsday. If you're looking to stay positive, I would take him in small doses. He deals with a lot of reality, but real smart, and he knows his stuff. So that's my shout out, I guess, this part. Well, hope everyone enjoyed the show. I'm taking a break from polling to answer a few questions from my subscribers, and this is one of those. So remember, thank you for watching. Check your voter status, like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support the work I'm doing on this channel, it's PayPal at CLSP Politics. Every penny goes to literally keeping the channel going. And I do appreciate all the contributions I've gotten so far. It's been a huge help. Yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. You have a good one.